Got it. Well, welcome everyone. We are calling the meeting to order at 6:07. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff, who's going to do the meeting protocol and the ground rules. Jeff, take it away.
Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me, and I apologize for the hoarse voice. This is Hartford. Next, ground rules. 1, we come prepared. 2, we think before we speak. 3, we listen to each other. 4, we share and respect diverse points of view. 5, we don't attack each other personally. 6, we don't shout. 7, we stay for the whole meeting. 8, we avoid side conversations and inside the meeting room when we're meeting in person, of course. 9, we are guided by the meeting chair or facilitator. 10, we turn off our cell phones and meetings. That's again if you're in a meeting. 11, keep our microphones on mute unless we're called to speak. 12, we raise our virtual hand to be recognized to speak. 13, we speak briefly and to the point. 14, we do not make inflammatory statements or accusations. 15, we work together to adhere time and note on the agenda. 16, we help each other stay on topic and agenda. 17, we enjoy ourselves. And again, we actually keep your my audio on mute unless you're called. And if you haven't added your name on your thing, what is it called? Your face thing, please add your name and the organization you're from, NRZ, if you can, on your name. That's it.
Thank you so much, Jeff. So will anybody volunteer to read our mission and purpose? Any volunteers? Frank, you want to give it a shot?
You're on mute, Frank.
Anybody?
Oh, unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me.
I can do it. So,
Okay,
mission of Hartford Next. We are a collective voice of Hartford residents and stakeholders working to strengthen and grow our community.
Thank you. So I will kind of review the agenda. I think everybody has a copy. So from 6:05 to 6:30, we're going to be go through board business. From 6:30 to 6:40, we're going to do board education. 6:40 to 7, we're going to do NRZ roundtable. And then from 7 to 7:10, we're going to go over the Hartford History Project. And 7:10 to 7:20, Hartford Next updates. And then from 7:20 to 7:25, board announcements. And then we will end with a follow-up and an assessment of how we did during the meeting. So for the first order of business is to approve board minutes from January 2024. Can somebody make a motion to approve?
I'll make
Janice.
Janice is making the motion to approve the March minutes. Any second?
Second, Frank.
Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, let's say aye.
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 Any nays? The vote is unanimous.
This is Mary.
Any
I'm going to
discussion?
abstain. I didn't have a chance to read them.
Oh, okay. So
Mary
Mary-
Falvey, sorry.
Okay, so. All right, the next order of business is, let me just make sure. So we've done the vote. The next order of business is the financial report. Unfortunately, Violette, okay, Violette is not here, so Marion, are you gonna cover the financials?
Can we come back to that? I need to find them and I want to pull them up.
Okay.
I had them open. I think I closed them. So.
Okay, so the next item on the board business is Marion is going to provide us an update on the ED search committee, the DCED funding, and the 2024 get out the vote. And then I will provide an update on the Prosperity Grant. Marion, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so good news. I just heard today from the foundation that we have been approved for the funding to hire the search committee. The funding will be available to us probably in about 2 weeks. But they funded us for the full amount that we requested, plus additional amount to do the background searches. So they're very supportive of us getting a new executive director. So that's a good news there. Next, we are in the process of completing the application for the DECD funds. We are eligible for 20,000 for fiscal year 24 and 20,000 for fiscal year 25. The project plan that we are proposing is Hartford Next capacity building. And that means that the funding will be used for salary for our executive director. So we have the 20,000 for each year to do that. So we expect that should be finalized, and once we'll do a board resolution today. And then once we get the package signed off by Jeremy and the finance, the treasurer, on our budget, then we can submit and hopefully have the money in May. We have not heard yet from the foundation on whether or not we will be funded for Get Out the Vote. I'm assuming that we will hear shortly because I think they met maybe last week, or because we did get the announcement for the funding for the executive director search firm. So I'm assuming we will hear shortly on the Get Out the Vote funding. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We've applied to LISC for some funding for our Neighborhood Training Institute. We are still waiting to hear. They're trying to have some private funders be supportive of our initiatives, but it's just taking a while. So we've not heard anything from that. And then I'll turn it over to, let's say the DEEP EPA G2G government to government grant that we are to be part of. We've been working on that for a couple of months with Keeney Park Sustainability and with Blue Hills Civic Association. We are nearing getting our budget ready for that. And once that's finished, DEEP will be submitting the information to the EPA. And then we will learn whether or not how where we're going from there. I think that's it, except once Bongi finishes, then I will bring up the resolution for the DECD funding.
So Mary Pelletier has her
Mary?
hand raised.
Chelsea has her hand.
Mary Pelletier?
So this, I don't know if you remember, I'm like interested in the environmental committee. What's the grant that you're working on? And has the scope that you've been discussing been shared with this committee and I just didn't hear it, or?
It's probably, let's see. This came up, the G2G stuff came up probably in 2023, the fall 2023. We had a resolution from the board saying that we could go ahead and participate in this. It was around the same time that there was the brownfields discussion. So it's been in the works. It's been in the works.
All right, but in terms of the development of the refinement of the scope, was the scope already determined, or
I'm trying to explain that this grant is for the flooding issues that are occurring in the north part of Hartford. So the whole idea is for the to work with the community, work with DEEP, work with EPA, work with work with the not work with MDC, but to advocate for the residents of the north end of Hartford. And they define the north end of Hartford as Blue Hills, Northeast, Clay Arsenal, Asylum Hill, and Upper Albany. Those are the 5 neighborhoods. But our proposal is to also keep the entire city informed of what is happening with this project. So it's really looking at what MDC is going to be doing to mitigate the issues in terms of the flooding.
So, I guess it's
So I
probably
can-
too late,
go
but I participated on it for 10 years on the MDC Citizens Advisory Committee to the Long-Term Control Plan. I've, that whole area is within the Park River regional watershed. So I've followed the research on that for over, since 2023, since 2003. And so if you'd like to share some more with me, why don't you connect offline? It seems like that would be a reasonable thing.
Yes, we will follow up because I think we've had discussions on this back in the fall. So, we're just we will follow up once we have some more information, but I will share that with you. So there's more to come in terms of what's being done, but this has been a long phase in terms of them being notified and then what the EPA is requiring in terms of setting this up in terms of budgeting and so forth. So yeah, we can talk offline, Mary, on
Yeah.
this. Okay.
I just think, it's important to remember that, bringing partners in sooner rather than at the end, especially somebody who may have comments such as, again, I just have a lot of research, so
Yeah, understood, Mary.
not a lot to say once it's all been decided.
Nothing has
I
been
think the
decided.
partners was also
Jeff?
determined by
Okay.
deed.
Yeah.
All right,
sorry, yeah,
well, can we table this to another part
Yeah.
of the discussion? Because we're
Yeah.
just trying to get through where we are with funding. And I'm going to turn it over to Bongi to talk about some other funding that we were looking at, and then I want to do the resolution.
Yeah, we submitted a proposal grant to the Prosperity Fund, and unfortunately, we were not approved. I did follow up and request a meeting to understand exactly why our proposal was not approved, and so I will keep you updated when I meet with the team. I think it's one person. So that's my update.
Okay. All right, so at this point, I did talk about the I want to share my screen and share with you the certified resolution that we need to discuss this evening. And let's see if I can pull it up. Always have oh, here it is. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes. The certified resolution, if that's what you're trying to share.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, I don't know, is that all you can see? Because I have a drop-down menu that I'm trying to get rid of and I can't. But as long, do you see just the certified resolution?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, very good. So this is one that we did back in 2022 when we had the DEEP grants before. And so the resolution reads that Elizabeth is our secretary, so she will be signing this, but we need to understand what we are being asked to do. And I have to tell you my screen. Oh, here we go. I can get rid of this. Because I'm having a hard time seeing the resolution. But Elizabeth is a secretary, and this is saying that the resolution is adopted by Hartford Next Board of Directors. We're doing it at the April 18th, 2024 board meeting. So this is what Elizabeth will certify and assign. Jeremy will affix a seal to this certified resolution. And it's talking about the fact that the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development is extending to financial assistance for economic development projects. And it's a desirable and public interest that Hartford Next make the application to the state for $40,000 and undertake the Hartford Next Capacity Building Project. The capacity building project, as I indicated, is that we are building capacity by hiring an executive director. We are using the $40,000 to support the salary of our executive director. So we are there's a contract and everything that has to be signed. Jeremy will be signing that, but we want to make sure the board is aware. So it's resolved that the Hartford Next Board of Directors is cognizant of conditions and prerequisites, including match obligations for the state. And this really doesn't apply because this is funding that was granted to us by the state legislature. So we're not actually, well, we're receiving a grant. So some of this doesn't really apply to us. And can someone read the second one? Because I have something in front of my screen.
I can read it, but you need to scroll down just a little bit more.
All right.
Just a little, because it's kind of, okay. So number 2, that the filing of an application for state financial assistance by Hartford Next Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $40,000 is hereby approved, and that Jeremy Baber, Executive Director, and Marion Griffin, Chairperson, is each directed to execute and file such application with the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development, to provide such additional information, to execute such other documents as may be required, to execute an assistance agreement with the state of Connecticut for state financial assistance if such an agreement is offered, to execute any amendments, decisions, and revisions thereto, and to act as the authorized representative of Hartford Next Incorporated.
And that's
Is there
it.
more?
No, there's no more. That's it.
Okay.
Elizabeth has a copy of this. And so do we have a motion?
So this is Mary. I move that we adopt and vote approve this resolution.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Frank
A-
Setner.
Frank Setner, do we have any discussion? All right. Here, before we actually vote on it, I will tell you the application includes a budget and it includes a statement. I can make all of this available. The statement asks for history of Hartford Next. And then the other part is the project plan. And the project plan was making the case of why we need to have an executive director, which is the same information or similar information to what I provided to the board when we talked about the whole idea of starting the search for an executive director, making the case that the board is an all-volunteer board. We do not have the capacity to do everything that we need to do to support this organization to move it further forward, that Jeremy had provided a list of all the things that the executive director should do. I provided that list in that document. So these documents are, will be available to anybody to take a look at. Frank?
Is there any confusion that should be clarified in this relative to the fact that Jeremy Baber, Executive Director, is on this?
There is no confusion because he's been signing all the documents. He signs all of our contracts. So, and he's waiting for us to get a new person in place so he can step back.
So we don't need to clarify in here that it's to replace the position that he's been filling.
In the
No.
document, I described that we were all volunteer, including the executive director, that we don't have a paid executive director for this point in time, and we're hiring. So I think it's quite clear.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good question to ask. Any other questions or discussion? All right, so Um,
I have a
All-
question. How
Yes,
soon does the money
Bonnie?
become available?
A good question.
Do you used to work for the state, Bongi? You really need to ask that question.
I'm assuming we'll have it by May. The whole idea is to get this done before before June,
Okay,
so that we don't think that, so there's no, it's already been out, it's in the budget, so we want to get the money before we go into the next year, so I'm assuming by May. Oh, so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Although, anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay. Sounds like I don't see any hands. I can't see it. I'm gonna stop sharing. There, I can clear this up. All right, so, sounds like we have, approval for this resolution. Elizabeth, if you could execute it for us, please. And, then return it, and then we'll put the package together. Violette will be signing the budget, document. And then Jeremy will be signing the full document. And then the process from this, once we've completed the application, there will be a contract that needs to be signed. And Jeremy has done this. This will probably be the third or fourth time that he's done it. So, you know, it's just a process we've done before. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary. While you put up the presentation for the digital equity, I'll just set the stage. I think it was January. We had, was it Thompson who came to, Mary, do you remember her name, who came to visit us from DAS?
Lauren Thompson.
Lauren Thompson came to visit us and talked about a project that she was making us aware of that the state had launched. And I was kind of curious as to what this was, other than digital equity. I was like, I wonder, you know, what was it? What's the context? And can we benefit from it? So I did a bit of research. Mary can turn the slide. And what I learned was around March, the governor actually had a press conference to talk about this work that DAS had been doing, which is called Connecticut Everyone Connected. And the goal of this project is to make sure that everyone in Connecticut can have access to technology, because really the world is changing. And if you don't have access to technology, you're going to be left behind. So the state created a plan, which is to help ensure that all residents in Connecticut have access to and can leverage technology for learning, for career, for advancement, for leveraging state services, health and wellness, and overall be able to participate in society. Next slide. So I thought for us, because we represent all of the NRZs, it would be very good, important for us to make sure that everybody understood that this program is out there and it's about to launch. And what the state decided that these are the covered population. There are people who are living below the federal poverty level. Aging individuals have access to this grant. People incarcerated, veterans, individuals with disabilities, people with language barriers, members of a racial or ethnic group, and residents who reside in rural areas. So the plan of the Digital Equity for Connecticut is to address availability, digital literacy, technical support, and access to public resources and services. And the outcome of this initiative is to drive economic development within Connecticut. It's for education, for health, civic and social engagement, and delivery of social services. And the items that I highlighted were those that align with Hartford Next mission. We're all about economic and workforce development, as well as civic and social engagement. Next slide, please. So the money that was funded to Connecticut actually came from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. Within this act, these are the dollars that were given to this initiative. For digital equity, there was $2.7 billion. Broadband equity, $42 billion. Affordable connectivity, $14.2 billion. tribal programs, 2 billion, middle mile connectivity, 1 billion, and digital discrimination. They didn't really put a dollar amount to that. On to the next slide. And so for us, this just kind of explains who's eligible. The reason why I wanted to share with this group was in terms of a couple of partnerships that can be established to drive this work for Hartford and Hartford communities. The ones that I thought would be, a public or multifamily housing authority. I think we sometimes work with Emily and that group. I was going to make sure that they understood that this was available. Partnerships with any entities, nonprofits, educational agencies, entities that carry out workforce development. So I thought there might be an opportunity. I don't know if Hartford Next can have direct opportunity to apply for these grants, but I thought it important for at least NRZ leaders to know that this is out there, it's with the state, and there's quite a bit of money available. Next slide, please. And so really part of what the key initiatives for this work is to promote development of digital skills and technical support programs, increase public awareness on digital equity resources within the state of Connecticut, and ensure that residents have affordable options for getting online that meet their needs, support the development of accessible and inclusive digital government at state and local levels, support high-speed broadband infrastructure build-out, which I thought was an important item for Hartford, because I know that the North End sometimes suffers with slow internet. And then to just foster ongoing learning about digital equity practices within Connecticut. I added a list that shows a final report that was delivered from the governor's office. It's very, very long. So I tried to abbreviate it as much to just give all of you a sense of what's going on. If there are neighborhoods or community, community organizations that are interested in broadband, this is available through the state of Connecticut. I did follow up, and I'm going to ask someone from the state to come and speak to us in terms of what are the opportunities for organizations like Hartford Next to maybe be the intermediary to drive awareness within the community, because I saw somewhere that they're going to be looking for partners to make sure that this information gets out there. So that's it. Any questions? That's Mary, can you just go one more? I don't think I have. So this is the opportunity for us to do the roundtable. So who is going to start with the NRZ roundtable?
If I may, I'd like to.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I should say that due to a scheduling conflict, I had to leave the Northeast NRZ meeting held on April the 15th early, but I was there long enough to receive what I think is some very important information, something I've been monitoring for quite some time. And that is with regards to a presentation from both the police departments and the fire departments. I think we had a relatively successful month. And by that, I simply mean, if I may address my notes here, we actually had, during the previous month, a month where there were no, in Northeast, I have to be specific, in Northeast, there were no homicides, no sexual assaults, no robberies, and no structure fires. I don't know how to tell you. That's a very important step in the right direction. I was very pleased to see that. There were, I'm sure, many more things that were covered. Like I said, unfortunately, I did have to leave early. I gave a presentation before I left that I would like to make before this body at some time in the near future. There's no rush on it. but it is something that I've been working on for quite some time. I was asked to serve on the transitional committee for public safety and quality of life for our current mayor. And quite frankly, one of the recommendations sent to his office is something that I'd like to give approximately a 5, maybe 7-minute presentation on at our next board meeting. I did touch on it during the last NRZ meeting, Northeast NRZ meeting, and it's regarding the creation of a culture of violence in the city of Hartford over the course of 400 years and how we can reverse the trend. I would say for the time being, that's all I have to offer.
Thank you. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Were there new strategies implemented to reduce and achieve those metrics, or was just luck of the draw for the month?
Oh, no, I didn't hear anything differently being done. I honestly, I have my opinions about these things. To some people, they're far-fetched. And I didn't want to go into this. I think I won't do it justice if I try to tell you what this is all about. But in a nutshell, it boils down to what Albert Einstein once said. He said, "The more I learn about physics, the more I am inclined towards metaphysics." And I think the challenges that we have, and I'm going into it already, I really don't think I can do this justice, but in answer to your question, I think what we have to do is take steps, and none of it will cost any money at all. I think what we have to do is we have to take the steps necessary to reverse the metaphysics related to the field of violence in the city of Hartford. And I want to answer your question thoroughly, Bongi, but with all honesty, it
I'll
would take.
follow up.
Please,
I'll
I
follow
really.
up offline.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I would like that. And quite frankly, Marion, I know we exchanged correspondence a few times, but it is related to precisely that. I don't want to take up all the time of this meeting. I have constructed a presentation. Once again, it's been recommended and sent to the mayor's office. I just think it's time for next steps. And once again, I'm going into it. I can't help it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm anxious to share this information with everyone. I really am, but I want to do it in a thorough manner so that it doesn't leave people wondering what it is about. I want you to fully understand what this is about, because in order for it to really work, it's going to have to take buy-in from the entire city.
Okay, but it's good news that the stats were positive this past period. So who's next?
I'm sorry, if I could just, I think stats like that can be experienced throughout our city for a considerable amount of time. The key word is sustainability. This right now is just a flash in the pan. We want something that'll exist over the course of many years, of course. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah,
Thank
looking
you.
forward to hearing what the plan is. So
Thank you.
who's next?
I can go next.
Okay.
Sorry, I think Susan had her hand up.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'll go after you.
Okay. So we're in the process of working on our strategic plan and the neighborhood plan in Soto. We're working with FHI Associates and Peary Associates, FHI Studio and Peary Associates, the consultants that were hired by the city to help us. And I think they're doing Frog Hollow at the same time with our neighborhood plans and strategic plans. We're also in the process working with the program committee of Hartford Next, developing our community outreach campaign, which is intended to increase awareness in our neighborhood of the NRZ and the role of the NRZ, and to increase our registered membership. And trying to think. Those are the primary things that we're working on right now.
Thank you. I think Susan, you said you were
Yep.
next?
Yep,
Okay.
so this is brief. In the West End, we have a building that CVS formerly occupied, that has been sitting vacant for a while. And the landlord came to us asking for support for a variance for an unpermitted use, which is what is described in the ordinance as a discount store, such as a dollar store. So we had a community meeting to try and educate people about this whole process of ordinances and variances and help people understand what kind of impact, good and bad, a dollar type store might have. For anyone who doesn't know, there are new models of dollar stores now that include produce and dairy and some meats. So for areas of food insecurity and food deserts, there might be an opportunity, but it is something that has to go through and get support for a variance.
I'm just curious, at the West End, are we supporting it or what was?
We don't know.
We don't
We're
know.
not at that point. One of
Okay.
the other things they've done is take a survey. And that's an ongoing thing to try and get people's opinions about their feelings about having a discount, what they're calling a discount store.
I think the majority of the survey was originally against a Dollar General. That was the big concern. And there is some data that shows that Dollar General do buy a lot from China and that there are a lot of contaminated products.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not sure what other NRZs. Anybody else out there? What NRZ update?
Yeah, I can go next.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just had a really successful community partners breakfast yesterday. That's what we're still recovering from. We're here, so. But we had a really good turnout, and the mayor was there, which is really nice. So we rolled out our agenda for 2024. Actually, in retrospect, if I'd known we were gonna have such a good turnout and the mayor would be so enthusiastic, I would have asked for more. But yeah, we kind of had kind of a doable agenda for this year, so it didn't have anything big on it, except maybe like the Comet Diner. But anyway, so we had a good meeting. The mayor was great, and he was very supportive, and we're just really pleased with the outcome of the meeting. So, and then we had a nice tour of the garden level of the Asylum Hill Congregational Church, which we hope we could turn into a community space of some kind, with possible offices for Asylum Hill Neighborhood Association. So that's kind of what we're working on lately.
And so what's top of mind for your 2024 agenda?
Economic development along Farmington Avenue. Actually, especially I'd like to see them really get the money for the streetscape project down and functioning on our street. You know, I know the West End's got a lot of delays going on too, and it's just things just back up and they forget about things. And I keep things moving along. I was glad to see it wasn't the budget. That's a good sign. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth, did you have your hand up? I thought you did.
Yes, reporting for Hartford Public Library. Hi, everyone. So let's see, a couple of things I wanted to update on in terms of, I had talked about the grant databases that we did not have any longer, called Foundation Directory Online. We are perhaps going to have that again relatively soon. We may be getting a grant to fund it. So that is one thing I wanted to mention, that may be coming back to the library. We had a staff meeting this morning where we were giving a bit of update about the progress downtown. The main floor, the hope and is that the main floor may reopen in the fall, mid to late fall. It will be not for, I don't believe we'll have computer access yet, but some of the services such as the American Place, which is the citizenship and ESL. I'm trying to keep a timer going here with our 1.5 1.5 minutes. So that's what you heard just now. So that's the trajectory there. And what else did I want to mention? Oh, with the citizenship, just I know many of our NRZs or many of our residents are not actual or are not citizens and not gone through citizenship application. So I wanted to encourage anyone who knows anyone who is inclined to fill out our online form on that topic. One of the agents within that department said there is a real push to get the process through for people at this point. Should very frankly, they are wanting people to become citizens in order to be able to vote. So there was a lot of lag time for a while, of course, COVID, et cetera, but they are putting more resources into the citizenship applications. And if you know people who are just saying, oh, I need to renew my green card, said they should look at citizenship. So it may be, that is what they need to do, or can do instead of renewing, because you get like a time frame in order to be able to just jump to citizenship as opposed to renewing your green card. People just keep renewing them and not approaching the idea, do I want to become a citizen? I also found out that the public access television is going to be located in the downtown library. So along with the library, if some know, has HPL Studios, has been a new focus on the media, recording, video, etc. So that stuck in my head for NRZs that are looking for help and support with getting their visual materials together, etc. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know all of the opportunities, but we do have what's called HPL Studios. And my last statement with that is it's the 250th year anniversary for Hartford Public Library existing as a library. So there is a great deal going on with that. And one of them is collecting Hartford Public Library stories for people to just we always want to collect the oral history of people who have lived in Hartford and experienced Hartford's cultural institutions. So I believe that is all I had. So thank you. And
Thank
if
you.
anyone can contact me at any point if you have questions about library matters.
Okay, Bernadine, I know you're on the phone. I just want to give you an opportunity to see if you have any updates from Syscon.
Good. Get my audio. Oh, you know what? I think
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Cheryl, were you gonna
I'm
provide?
having trouble with my audio. Can you hear me? Is my
I
audio
can.
No, we can hear you fine.
good? I had to get I think there's this virus or something or some animal in my computer. The only thing we've really been discussing mostly is the working on the Barnard Park and working with Soto and Frog Hollow to see if we can develop a plan and decide what's going to happen there besides the dog park, which is not feasible. That's been the main discussion over the past couple of months that we've been doing. So I think we're just trying to gather enough people together to start discussing alternative plans for Barnard Park, for South Green.
Do you have any alternatives?
Not as yet. To me, it's been very confusing, but I think they're trying to get people together to try to develop a plan for Barnard Park, but no one has anything specific.
I have one question about that. I mean, Carrie Shea or anyone who has been working on this, why does there need to be a plan developed? I mean, I know the space needs a great deal of help and attention to be viable as it is a park, but why does it need to be repurposed? It's a park. So to my mind, it could be revitalized and
Personally, I feel the same way you do, but everybody else seems to have better ideas. I think it should be a way to just be able to clean the park up and make it a nice little park, but then
So I
Well-
can answer that. This is Mary
I
Fowling.
will.
Thank
I-
you.
Frank might
Which is
too,
probably
but
why I'm very vague, because I don't understand what the whole thing is to try to change it.
right. So part of it is Hartford Next and Hartford Preservation Alliance teamed up at the beginning when the dog park was proposed out of the blue. And, you know, it was, you know, many people, including people from the city that have to work there, thought that a dog park in that area wasn't appropriate for the park. And then the next question that came back to us is, okay, if you don't want that, then what are you supposed to do?
Right.
And so the suggestion was, what they're really working on is trying to build a Friends of Barnard Park South Green Friends group, similar to what Carrie Shea has accomplished at Zion Hill, and to act as, well, kind of stewards that, you know, we're keeping an eye on this and this is important. And the other thing is, the reason we do need a plan. All our parks are very unique, but this one is really super unique. It has a mix of populations. It's a place where services go to serve populations. And, you know, I've looked at it, the overarching theme is we need to figure out a way, and we know it's been done other places, that we can have an equitable and just park setting where everyone, no matter who you are and where you come from and where you are in this season of life, are able to enjoy the park.
Mhm.
And it's a challenge for many, many reasons. So
That's the clearest discussion I've had about that since they've been discussing it.
oh, you're welcome.
I do
But
know that it is the park that it seems to branch off. All the other streets around it seem to branch off like a hand, and the streets are like fingers. And originally, it was the original park from which these streets were created.
right,
But,
which is part of the challenge. It's a high traffic area. It's small. You know, all sorts of things. So
well, there's a lot of
hopefully more to come.
and there's a lot of homeless shelters there, and it's just the bus traffic and everything else. It's just,
Okay,
but until I
thank
figure out
you.
to help the homeless shelters, it's just not going to be a solution, because there's going to be no place for people to go during the day.
Okay, thank you. I think Jeff has his hand up.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just going to clarify for just point of clarification, people should be acknowledging you to get permission to speak and not directly going dialoguing, just to be parliamentary for you.
Okay,
They should
thank
be
you.
asking
You
for your
sound like you
permission to
work for the
speak
state.
before they do that. Okay,
You sound
that's
like
all.
you work for the state.
No, it sounds like he's been trained by B. Powell.
Correct.
I was just excited that my audio is working. Never mind. Jeez.
Yeah, I was just concerned, Jeff, that I can only see one set of folks, and on the second page I can't, so I was trying to toggle back and forth. Anybody else with an update?
Oops.
I can share what's upcoming. Oh, Carrie Shea, go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Janice. I can go after you.
Well, I was just going to remind everyone they're very excited about the Earth Day celebration that's coming up on Monday. I hope that folks are able to come out. It's also a great opportunity for when residents show up to remind them to become part of their NRZ. So really looking forward to a great celebration. We are dedicating the event to Lynn Johnson, because you know how passionate she was about sustainability, and she was very sweet. So we will be dedicating that to her. Also, for Hartford Next, the mayor's office will be reaching out, because we will be working with Hartford Next to set up a listening section around public safety as the search begins for the next police chief. And so the NRZ conversation will work through Hartford Next. So Marianne, we can talk offline more about that.
Okay.
Okay, Carrie, go ahead.
So Carrie Shea, Frog Hollow. So we're working on a number of things. For those of you who've attended our meetings recently, you can probably tell we're trying to change it up a little bit, switch up the agenda, make our meetings a little bit tighter and a little bit more engaging. We're asking people who are doing presentations to keep them short, but to bring lots of visuals so we can get a better idea of, what they're talking about without them having to talk so much. We've been negotiating the final pieces of the CCMC, Connecticut Children's Medical Center, parking garage. There are 4 houses that are going to be moved. And at our last meeting, both Hartford Hospital and the library said that they would step up and help in any way to accommodate people whose electricity will be off for a couple hours or a few hours as those houses are being moved to their new sites in our neighborhood. So we were very happy about that, and that should be a very exciting event. We've been collaborating with the little police substation on the corner of Affleck and not Russ, Affleck and
Ward, it's Ward.
Ward, thank you. I get those two mixed up. And we have a terrific new lieutenant there, and she came to us with the idea of turning the whole front lawn of the police station into sort of a children's play space, garden. It's a school bus stop, so there are often parents and children waiting there. Our, beloved neighborhood icy lady sells the frozen ice across the street, ices. And so we submitted a proposal to Love Your Block for that. And even if we don't get it, I think we're going to try and figure out ways to make that happen. We've also been really kind of holding Hartford Hospital's feet to the fire. As many of you know, they had 13 vacant buildings that they had acquired over the years, many of them occupied when they acquired them, and then they emptied them out and boarded them up and hoped no one would notice. And we did notice, and we pressed them really hard. And at our last meeting, for the last several meetings, they've been giving us progress updates on the rehab of the buildings. And one of them, an old mansion, the dumpsters are out and the construction has actually started. So we're thrilled about that, the Levi Felt House. And Mary Falvey played a huge role in making that happen. And then a few of the others are bids are in, and hopefully work will start shortly. But they also unveiled a huge parking garage, double the size of the CCMC parking garage that they would like to build. They would like to tear down an existing one and tear down the gas station and build it. Actually, one of the most interesting looking parking garages I've ever seen, and with, a lot of, as far as parking garages go, a lot of good aspects to it. But I think that's going to be a lot of negotiation going forward. So we'll be working with them on that. We've talked to the city about reworking our neighborhood plan. Unfortunately, it just wasn't quite up to snuff, and it wasn't going to be a document that we could really use. And the city was very good about meeting with us and saying, yep, maybe we can take another run at this. So we have hoping to do that. And then the final thing is at our next meeting, which I believe is on May 21st, we will be an hour before the meeting. SINA has offered to give a tour of 2 beautiful historic buildings that they have renovated and are almost complete with on Madison Street. So that will be at 4:30, and then we'll tour the buildings and then walk over to the library and have our meeting. And any of you who'd like to do that, we encourage you to join us. It's open to everyone. So that's what we're up to in Frog Hollow.
Well, thank you for that update. I'm just curious. So what's going to happen to the 4 houses? Will they be put up for sale, or what's going to happen to them?
2 of them will be renovated by SINA and put up for sale as owner occupant housing. And then the other 2 are going, I believe, to a employee of Laz Parking. Laz Parking is building the garage, and this is a employee there who works closely with the CEO, and he's purchasing or taking 2 of these houses and will rehab them, and I believe use them as rental housing.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Mary has her hand up.
Okay, Mary. There are
Yeah.
2 Marys, which one? Go ahead,
Okay.
Mary.
Again, I didn't mean to speak out of turn earlier, but I was curious, was the reason why people didn't like the dog park because of because it was synthetic turf, or was it actually the issue of the dogs?
So if through you, Madam Chair, there were a variety of reasons. One was, yes, there was questions raised. 2, it doesn't follow American Kennel Club guidelines for even what a minimum amount of park should be. Animal control raised the issue that our city has one of the lowest vaccination rates and licensing rates for dogs in the state. And the other was, well, and it's, it's our historic town green, and doing, it was thought that, having this dog park would limit access and availability for people to actually enjoy the park. And then we also brought up, even though they said not, anyone that's close to the park know that the city struggles with their budget to be able to provide enough maintenance services to the existing parks that we have, and adding something like that is a big pull. It takes a lot of maintenance. This isn't just they'll come by once a day, once a week and empty the trash can. It has to be like cleaned every day. So there are a lot of variables going into that.
Thanks. And then if I may, I'd just like to point out, there's a lot of really great programs for Earth Day, and I listed them in the chat. And one of them is a walk along the North Branch of the Park River that's hosted by Alicia Jenkins and Brian Martin, and Park Watershed's a part of that, along with the North Central Conservation District. So the whole list, including the Earth Day Festival at the Hartford City Hall, is in the chat.
Thank you, Mary. Chief Teal?
Thank you. I wanted to make a brief presentation regarding one of the other meetings that I was able to attend very recently, just yesterday. I was at a meeting of the Ascend Pipeline Grant, and most of you are aware of that grant, but in Northeast and most of the Promise Zone of the North End. It's the $30 million grant provided by the United States Department of Education to address academic and professional challenges of the residents. I'll make this brief. One of the points that was made during the meeting by one of the presenters is that the library, and I believe I remember this correctly, provides tutoring 7 days a week from 2 p.m. until 11 p.m. And when that information, and it was in relation to, I was asking a question about math. So it's math tutoring. I don't know about the other subjects. But when I received that response from the library, everyone in attendance was very, very surprised. And I think that that's critical information, assuming that it was accurate, presented by the person speaking. I'm assuming it's accurate. That desperately needs to be circulated and made available citywide. Our residents have got 3 options. They got work, welfare, and crime. And the only thing that is going to pay the bills that we approve of course, is work. And in the 21st century, it's hard to get a job if you don't have a high school diploma. In Northeast, the most recent figure I have heard is that 90% of the adults don't have a high school diploma. 90%. So what we have to do is, I believe, somehow engage in some form of marketing to publicize the fact that this service is available, because it'll certainly enhance a person's expectations of the situation. If you're thinking about going to school, and this is for kindergarten through college, if you're in school or you're thinking about going to school, It's a tremendous resource I knew nothing about, and everyone should know about it.
Okay, permission to speak, Madam,
Please.
Madam Chair. I'm sorry. I'm not good at parliamentary stuff. I know parliamentary is cigarettes. I don't know. I'm assuming you're talking about Brain Fuse, one of the many digital resources that we have online, because no library is open and providing services till 11 p.m. But yes, there are incredible resources available to all Hartford residents who have library cards that they can use many times. And I believe that what you're talking about is the Brain Fuse, which is a online service. If it's something else, I need to know, so you can let me know, but that's the best I can give you on that.
I think Frank has a question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Co-Chair. And this circles back to the digital divide. So there's an online program that people can't access because they don't have the capability to get online.
So I just want to ask Chief Teal, is there an ask there for Hartford Next, or was just that informational? I thought I heard a marketing or sharing the information, but I want to make sure we capture whatever follow-up we need to take.
Well, no, actually what I'm doing is presenting the information because it's not well known. No form of it is known throughout, among the people who attended the meetings. There were at least 50 people in attendance that were listening to this. And, we desperately need resources. What the Ascend pipeline is doing right now is we're making a list of all the services that have been coordinated. That's the primary work that we've been doing over the course of the past 2 years. Determining which services can be provided, determining who's going to provide those services. Now we're in the process of documenting so that it's readily available to everyone who may need the services, who's providing those services, how they can access it. And then we're looking at, for all intents and purposes, the issue of sustainability. After the grant has ended in 3 years, will the services still be available? Those are the things we're addressing. But the point that I'm trying to make, I think, is this. There was a time when we had, if you put it in the newspaper, the Hartford Current, or if it was on Channel 3 or Channel 30, and then at one point even Channel 5, everybody heard about it. Now we don't know how to get information out. And this information, some of it is critical. We cannot address the matter of public safety effectively if we don't find a way to educate our citizens. It's folly to expect us to believe that we're going to find, as I was presenting earlier, a continuation of those positive statistics related to things like murders and sexual assaults, robberies, and structure fires. You're not going to have that in an uneducated society. So what I'm trying to do is make people aware of the fact that information like that somehow has to get out to the general public, because it isn't getting there. It just is not,
So we'll have to figure out. I think Marion has something to say.
Two things. One, I think we can identify the problems, but I think the question is, what do we do next? Is this something we need to advocate for and set a committee to work on this, or is this something that the North End Pipeline can work on? So I think that's something that is for a future discussion. Okay. But I wanted to piggyback on some of the other NRZ things. I think we're trying to look at ways we can collaborate and work together. So I wanted to follow up on a couple of things that are happening. One, Janice mentioned, and a couple other people mentioned, that Monday is Earth Day and there's an event at City Hall. I have asked other NRZs if they want to join Hartford Next as a means of providing information and educating our community about who we are. So I know we have several NRZs. I think there's 3. We have some people who've already said yes, they're going to join us on Monday. We still have opportunity to have additional, and if we need more tables, I can ask Janice to add another table to our group so that we can be all grouped together and be supportive of each other. The other thing is that in Frog Hollow, there's Trinity College. Trinity College is a friend of the NRZ, the Frog Hollow NRZ. They are having a Samba Fest on April 20th, and it's a free event. It's from 11 to 6. Come and support Frog Hollow and Trinity College. Bring whatever, have fun, even if it's just for an hour. The other thing is Southwest Behind the Rocks is collaborating with, I believe it's Marge in Parkville. And on May 1st, they're having a flea market. You can contact Kathy Evans if in fact you want to be supportive. They want to do this the first Saturday of every month starting in May. So we can see how that works, and that might be something that other neighborhoods might want to try to do and follow on. The ultimate goal is to have a farmer's market in that neighborhood. So those who some neighborhoods have farmers markets and bringing fresh food and fruits and vegetables to the residents. So we should be collaborating and working together to try to help our neighborhoods. So I bring these two to you, or these three things, so that we can be supportive of other NRZs and what's going on in the neighborhoods.
Thank you. I think, David, I think you had your hand up real fast.
No, I was just responding to the idea of tables at the Earth Day
Oh, okay.
event. So I just texted, Janice about it. So that's all.
Yep, I think I'll be at Earth Day. I think they're giving away free plants, Janice. Is that true?
Bulbs for bulbs, bulbs and bulbs. So David, are you going to join us so that we'll be together?
I'll be there with I'll be tabling there. Yeah, we have information we want to get out to people about energy efficiency programs.
Okay.
Available to them. That's a grant we have. So
yeah,
Eversource will be here too, David.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh,
Eversource.
We'll be there too. Oh, good.
Yes.
They're purchasing the bulbs for us.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say too that CCMC, that's the Connecticut Children's Medical Center, they donated 3 boxes of books, children's books, to us. And we will be donating those books at that event too. So a free giveaway for books.
Okay, any other person? Anybody else? Any other NRZ? So Mary, I think I have one more slide that I just want to share a program that we are launching. No, I don't have a lot of time, so I'll be quick. So as we're all aware about the Neighborhood Training Institute, the program committee is really excited to be positioned to actually launch what we're calling the Hartford Next History Project. And the goal of this project is to capture the history of Hartford Next, which will be used to educate NRZ members, the community at large, and other organizations. One of the areas that we've observed is very few people actually know who we are, what we've done, how long we've been around. And so this program, or this program, I'll call it, is going to be, we're going to video former members like Bernadine, who were part of the founding of Hartford Next, as well as other members who have been with the organization for a long time. We feel that this will be a great way for us to truly share and have people understand what do we do, what are we about, what have we accomplished. And it will also be an anchor to the programming that we're going to be launching from the Neighborhood Training Institute. And some of those programs include civic and community engagement, economic development. We want to expand our partnerships with external entities. And the only way we can do that is to have some materials that are live and really engaging, that speaks to Hartford Next and our goals, objectives, and the opportunities that we provide for neighbors to work together and collaborate. The project is more of a video. We've identified a firm that we're going to be talking to do this work. We're going to film several participants. Bernadine, I actually met with Bernadine, and she identified quite a few people who she thinks would be very insightful in helping us understand our history, as well as newer people who will be able to talk about, as an organization, where we headed. It will include video, production editing. We're going to do some storage. So this is something that's in the works. We thought it important to share with the board and to get, approval for us to proceed with the project. So Marion, I'm not sure, we didn't really talk about what the ask would be at this phase, other than kind of let people know that we're launching this project. So I'll
Well,
turn
I
it
think-
over to you to talk about next steps.
Yeah, I think it's getting some feedback, input, and ideas too from the board.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff, I know you were there at the beginning, so people like yourself were looking for feedback in terms of, well, I'm not telling you, Jeff, I'm just asking for your input in the future. So this is really an exciting piece of work. We'll keep everybody posted as we continue to gather the resources, gather the partners that we're going to be working with. I do think it's important for me to just ask Bernadine if she has any comments at this point. Bernadine, are you there?
No.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
No, I don't have any comments. None. Yes, I say yes to everything you're saying.
But Bernadine was very instrumental in supporting us putting this together to share with you. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I personally am very excited, because if you think about 20 years ago, however Hartford 2000 started, those folks at the table were very insightful in terms of talking about collaboration, working across neighborhoods, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm personally excited about this work. Frank just gave me a thumbs up. Any questions?
I have just one thing. Yes, I do have one thing to say, Bernadine. You better hurry up and get my thoughts, because I'm losing them. Okay. So
I was hoping
you better
would
get them
say-
while I got them, or you're going to not have them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I was like, they might not be taken the right way. But Bernadine, your memory is
Take it the way it is, and what I said is true.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Thank you. We will. I got a thumbs up from Frank, so I'm excited. Other comments on this?
So Bongi, this is Mary Falvey.
Mhm.
So I would just suggest that maybe it would be worthwhile for Program and Communications Committee to have a joint meeting on this, because it looks like a lot of onboarding for our marketing committee.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Frank, I think you're next on the agenda.
This is about the board retreat follow-up. And I've been in contact with Derek. And he's suggesting a 90-minute meeting focused on operational issues that were identified and discussed at the board retreat, and try to identify what are the things that, are stuck, i.e. not moving forward, and what things are working well. He actually also wants to help us with our Google Drive. If we don't have our documents properly organized on the Google Drive, he's particularly adept at that. And that's not something he would do during the meeting, the follow-up meeting. He would do it offline. So, but of course, he's going to need somebody to collaborate with, or maybe several somebodies, in order to do that. So that's where it stands right now. He didn't suggest any particular dates. I suggested in the text to him that we probably would want it done before our annual meeting in June, which he said shouldn't be a problem. Now, I don't know how that jives with what everybody else is thinking.
So I guess the program committee can get together and figure out the dates and all of that. Mary, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We need to look at a lot of things that are happening between now and the annual meeting. And also thinking of that, anyway, we can talk offline on this because we're short of time and there's a lot of things to do before we end.
Yep.
Yeah. His point was that it needs to be done before we forget.
Yep, I'm sorry.
True.
I think we've already forgotten some of it. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
So Mary, can you remind folks of the date of the next board meeting? I didn't write it down.
The next board meeting is May 16th, so.
That's what I thought, but it's May 16th. All right, just as a follow-up, let's talk about the meeting.
Well, we still haven't done we have updates.
Reports, that's right. So executive committee update. I'll start with you, Marian.
I think, well, all I can say is that we'll be meeting next week. And then I can't, there's nothing else to say about that right now.
Okay, we've gotten a report from the program committee, governance committee.
No, other than just trying to continue to reach out to people for associate members and membership and working on drafting some it's like a charter for the environment committee. That's all we've been doing right now.
Yeah, and particularly getting ready for the annual meeting for those members whose terms are up.
Okay.
And hopefully re-upping.
Okay.
Finance committee, I can show the reports at this point. If I share my screen. Okay, so the first report is the February profit and loss. So you can see that we've not been spending a lot of money at this point in time. At least through February, but I think we need to look at this because you'll see on the next slide. Let's see if I can move down. It's March, so March, but we're gonna have to look at this because we know that we are a fiduciary fiscal sponsor for the Hartford, city of Hartford, for the NRZs and for the administrative person, and those numbers are not showing up on here. But if you take a look at the balance sheet or the profit and loss, oh, that's it. This is the wrong one. I'm sorry. Let me go to the balance sheet, wherever it is. Here it is. All right. These were prepared by Violette through our QuickBooks, and we have a bookkeeper who's putting the information into QuickBooks. So if you look at the total current liabilities, those are liabilities are the funds that are for the NRZs. So Kim is working with the NRZs to have them help them with their community engagement, help them with capacity. She's doing minutes for some of the NRZs. She's working on projects, for instance, with Southwest to help them with their flea market, with Syscon in terms of their, I believe, website. But notice that the current liabilities, that's fund money that is actually due to the NRZs. The current assets are actually restricted funds, which means we have money left over from and we will do an analysis of where those monies are. But part of that is the funds for the NRZs, the City of Hartford funding. Part of it is for Neighborhood Training Institute. Part of it is the residual from Get Out the Vote and from other programs. So at the next meeting, we should have a better assessment of what is allocated by item in terms of restricted funds. So And then the other thing is we are actively recruiting for the finance committee. We have actually two individuals who, well, at least one individual who's not a Hartford Next member who is very interested but lives in the Blue Hills neighborhood. So hopefully the finance committee will have a meeting shortly and we can begin to take a stronger look at our financials and reporting. Okay. So
who was continue with development, Marion, because development
Susan,
is
I'll let Susan and David talk about development.
okay.
Our new co-chairs for the development committee.
Okay, I'll change the name.
David and I have had a couple of meetings. He's helping me to get my toes wet in this long, steep learning curve. Not just of Hartford Next, but of development. And we've scheduled our meetings. They'll be the second Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. And David has some great ideas about how to reframe the whole concept of development. So stay tuned. David, anything to add?
Are you guys looking for members?
Of course.
Of course.
I'm interested.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I had nothing to add. That's a good summary, Susan.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to say I'm totally up to my eyeballs in development, as that's something that I've been working on for a long time. So, you know, we will continue to work together.
Okay. Mary, any updates?
Yes, so communications committee is back on track, meeting regularly. We're working our plan. We had a very robust discussion about Hartford Next newsletter. And we're working on, you know, what our newsletter needs to look like, what's the important content, who's the audience. I know it's important, as Marion, and it flows in with development, is to make sure our funders know we're here and we're doing the stuff. And it also flows into, it'll be very important that the NRZs start providing us with some information. We would definitely want to put a spotlight on each NRZ with each newsletter, but we need to get that content and media photographs from the NRZs. One of our members of our committee would like to see a suggestion for our website is that we have headshots of our board of directors. So, and to facilitate that, if you don't have a headshot, as I say, I have a photograph from kindergarten that I currently use on mine. But I believe we're going to have a photographer available at the annual meeting to do your headshot. So if you want to get a headshot, that'll be available. And then also for Frank is we are working on, this committee is working on the storage, the shared file and storage.
Okay.
So we won't be using Google Sheets. We've got Microsoft licenses donated to us from Microsoft. So we are working on that, which is also for this Hartford Next History Project, important to loop us in, because we're going to need to get that going sooner rather than later. So that's about it.
I think we've covered all the committees.
No,
Anybody?
we have two more to do. We have two more.
Who?
We have
Oh,
the
environment.
environmental justice, and we still need program has something to talk about too.
That's fine.
So Jeff, do you want and Mary, you want to talk about environmental justice?
I did it real fast, but if Mary has questions, I mentioned we're still working on drafting language, but Mary, I would defer to Mary Pelletier.
We really haven't had a chance to meet. This is the busiest time because Park Watershed has a number of events and deadlines because it's springtime. We have the Bio Blitz, which is exciting. So I think the main thing is that Hartford Next is doing a lot of programs and Park Watershed does a lot of programs. So maybe someday we'll align.
Okay, thank you. And program.
Okay, I think most of the things have been covered by other folks. Marion, you mentioned something, is there particular?
Annual meeting.
The annual meeting, we're working on the annual meeting. The theme this year is going to be public safety, and we've got a speaker lined up, so you'll be getting some details about that. I think, refresh my memory, where did we decide where it was going to be held?
I think in the interest of time, can we send that information out as part of the minutes? I'm just being sensitive to the fact that we're already at 7:32.
Yeah, I mean, quickly, we had talked about using the library.
Okay, I needed a memory jogger. That's all I had.
Okay.
Yeah, so just mark your calendars for June 20th.
June
For
20th.
the annual meeting.
And so in closing, I just want to take a quick check about how the meeting was. Is there any old business that we need to address? Nope. Any new business? Any comments?
Just really quickly, this is Mary Falvey. So now we're running short of time. At the March meeting, the subject about pilot, so that's payment in lieu of taxes, came up again. So I don't know if we want to reach out to see if that subcommittee that was suggested can be resurrected. Because I know that the city's going to start, everyone's going to start looking now that ARPA and the COVID funds are starting to be depleted and go away. Sources of revenue for the city are really important, and we need to make sure that those that are on pilot, especially the state government, are paying their fair share.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
And also just for a comment to governance, if we could get, I don't know if the charter for them needs to be approved by the board or at the annual meeting by the full voting members.
The charter for which one?
Environmental committee.
We're still drafting.
Right. Yeah, and understand this is an ad hoc committee, so, you know.
Oh, okay, never mind then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Any other comments or feedback?
No, more to talk about, but we'll get it at the next meeting.
Yep. So thank you, folks, and apologize for us being 4 minutes late.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a good.
Let me know if you want to join us on Monday at City Hall.
Frank had a motion to adjourn.
Second.
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 Jeff.
Move second, whatever. Frank moved and then Marion seconded.
Oh, that was you, Jeff.
All right, then I second it. All right.
All in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Goodbye, all.
Night.
Good night.
Bye.